The spaceship Vigilant Star moved slowly through deep space. It was a quiet day. Number signals, no warnings, no danger. Captain Ross sat in his chair, sipping cold coffee, looking at the stars outside. Everything seemed normal, calm, peaceful, then. Suddenly, an alarm beeped. A strange ship appeared on their radar. It was large, black, and shaped like a spear. No identification, no known signal. The crew stared at the screen. Shocked and nervous, "It's not one of ours," said Lieutenant Dana. "No human ship has that design." The captain stood up. "Raise shields," he ordered. But the alien ship didn't attack. Instead, it sent a single message, text only. Translated into English, "Human, I insist you inspect my body." The crew went silent. What kind of message was that? It was not a greeting, not a threat, just a strange, demanding sentence. Captain Ross frowned. What is this? A trick? A test? They tried to scan the alien ship, but the scanners failed. No data, no life signs, no heat. It was like the ship. It was empty, but the message kept repeating, again and again. "Human, I insist you inspect my body." Finally, the alien ship opened a small door. A single figure stepped out and floated toward them in a personal shield bubble. It was tall. Almost 7 feet, it wore armor made of shining black metal. Its face was covered by a helmet. No weapons in sight, but it didn't look harmless. "Open the main bay," said the captain, "but prepare security." The alien entered calmly. It didn't speak. It simply stood in the middle of the hangar and waited. Captain Ross and Dr. Lee Morgan entered the room. She was the chief medical officer of the Vigilant Star. She was smart, careful, and not easy to scare, but today, even she felt cold inside. The alien raised its hands slowly and pointed to her. "You," it said in a deep, quiet voice. "You must inspect me. Now." Lee stepped forward. "What do you mean? Are you sick? Injured?" "I do not know," the alien said. "There is something inside me, something hidden. No scanner can see it. I need human hands and human eyes." She looked at the captain, confused. Captain Ross gave a small nod. "Do what you can." They took the alien to the medical bay. The room was bright and cold, filled with machines and screens. Lee asked the alien to lie on the examination table. It obeyed without speaking as she moved the scanner over his body. Strange results appeared. His heart was not where it should be. His blood was glowing blue, and inside his chest, something moved. She stepped back. "There's something alive in there." "Yes," the alien replied, "but it should not be. It was placed there by someone or something." Lee swallowed hard. "You want me to remove it?" "No," said the alien. "You must first understand it. The scanners failed to read the object. No shape, no material, just noise." The alien's body rejected any automated test. Only her human senses could help. Lee took a deep breath and put on gloves. As she touched the alien's chest, the skin shifted like water. Not soft, not hard, but changing. Beneath it, she felt heat and something pulsing. Like a heartbeat, but not the alien's own. Suddenly, the alien grabbed her wrist, not with force, but fear. "If it senses fear, it will wake," he said. "What is it?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly. "I do not know its name." The alien said, "But it killed my crew. I am the last one left." She looked into his glowing eyes. There was no anger, no hate, only sadness. "I came here not to harm humans," he said, "but to beg for help, because you feel?" Lee stood in silence. This was no normal mission. This was something ancient, dangerous, and unknown. She looked at the pulsing shape under the alien's skin and knew one thing. This was just the beginning. Dr. Lee Morgan sat alone. In the medical lab, her hands rested on the table, still wearing gloves. The room was quiet. But her heart was loud. She had seen many wounds in her life. Burns, broken bones, strange space viruses. But this was different. The alien lay on the table, still and calm. Its eyes were closed, its body almost peaceful. But inside it, something moved. Something unnatural, something alive. Lee turned on a recorder and spoke slowly. Day 1. Alien patient on board. Request, full body inspection by human only. No machines work on his body. Organic scanners give mixed signals. Unknown biological activity detected beneath the chest. She moved closer and pressed a soft probe to his side. The alien's skin was warm but not like human skin. It felt soft, then firm, then soft again, almost like it was listening or changing. Suddenly, a sharp sound came from the table. Tick, tick, tick. Lee looked at the screen, confused. It was not a heartbeat, not breathing, not a pulse. It was a code. Repeating like a message, she recorded the sound and slowed it down. The pattern turned into something strange. It was not just sound, it was language. No, and it was not human, not alien either. It was older. She stood back, her eyes wide. This isn't just a life form inside, she whispered. It's trying to speak. At that moment, the alien opened its eyes, glowing gold, brighter than before. You heard it, he said. It's waking up. Lee's voice shook. What is it? I don't know its name, the alien said. In my culture, we call it the whisper in flesh. It speaks only when it finds a new host. Lee took a step back. A parasite. No, the alien replied. A prisoner, the alien. Tried to sit up, but his body trembled. I was a commander, he said, of the Valerie fleet. We found an old station drifting in the dark. No lights, no life, just silence. But when we entered, something entered us. Lee stared at him. And now it's inside you. He nodded slowly. I locked myself in my ship, kept away from my crew, but they changed. He said, they became other. Lee looked at the scanner again. The readings shifted every second. Sometimes it showed nothing. Sometimes it showed hundreds of heartbeats. None of it made sense. The lights flickered. Once, then again, the computer screen glitched, showing symbols she didn't understand, not from the alien language, and definitely not from Earth. It's spreading, the alien whispered, even through data. That's why I came here, to find a mind strong enough to face it. Why me? Lee asked. You are human, he said. You adapt, you survive. You question everything. Then his body jerked once, as if something inside punched outward. Lee jumped back. A black shadow spread beneath the alien's skin, like smoke. It reached toward his chest, then vanished. He groaned. It's searching for weakness. If it finds a path, it will escape. I must stay sealed. Lee thought fast. If this thing was alive in him, and it could affect data and machines, then they couldn't trust any tech. No scans, no automated tools, only her senses. She turned off the machines and grabbed a manual medical kit. Her hands trembled as she picked up a scalpel. I don't want to hurt you, she said. You must, he replied. Before it does, she made a small cut near his shoulder. There was no blood, only a silver mist. Inside, tissues moved like wires, shifting around her tool. The alien didn't scream. He just closed his eyes. Careful, he whispered. It can smell fear. Suddenly, a voice echoed in the room, not his, not hers, but from the walls, the screens, even the air. It was calm, cold, and spoke in perfect English. She sees, she touches, she listens. Let us see if she survives. Lee froze. The room darkened for 1 second. Then, everything returned to normal. But nothing felt normal anymore. The alien opened his eyes again. It has seen you now, he said quietly. There is no turning back. Lee swallowed hard. She looked at the cut, at the shadow beneath his skin, at the thing that had spoken, through wires and metal, and she understood one thing. This was not a medical case. This was a war, and it had already begun. The ship's lights had stopped flickering. The systems were quiet again, but Dr. Lee Morgan didn't feel safe. The silence felt fake, as if something was holding its breath, waiting. She had spent the last 2 hours checking the alien's body. Not just with tools, but with her eyes, her hands, her instincts. His skin changed under pressure. His muscles didn't move like a normal body. They twisted, adjusted, and sometimes resisted her touch. But the worst part wasn't what she saw. It was what she felt. Every time she touched a certain part of his chest, her fingers tingled. Not pain, not cold, but information, like a message trying to enter her mind. Lee stared at her own hands in disbelief. "They're trying to talk," she whispered. Not with words, but through sensation. The alien, still weak but awake, nodded slowly. "That is how it begins," he said. "It doesn't speak like we do. It shares thoughts, pictures, feelings. It becomes part of you." She stepped back, heart pounding. "You never said it could infect me." "I said it was looking for a host," he replied, "now that it knows your mind." "It may try." Lee turned away, thinking fast. She had to find answers before it went deeper. She needed to understand this thing, what it was, where it came from, and most important, what it wanted. She went to the ship's lab. No machines worked properly around the alien, but she had samples, now flesh fluid, and a strange silver thread she had pulled from his shoulder. She placed the thread under a basic lens. No electronics, just glass. And then she gasped. The thread moved. On its own, it shaped itself into symbols, not letters, not numbers, but something ancient. It looked almost human, but older than any human language. Older than Earth. Captain Ross entered quietly. "You look like you've seen a ghost," he said. "I think I have," Lee replied, showing him the shapes. "They're repeating. They're trying to teach me." The captain looked uneasy. This alien. What if he's lying? What if this is all a trick? Lee shook her head. "He's afraid. I can feel it. But there's something else," she added, lowering her voice. "When I touched the alien, I saw something, not with my eyes, but in my mind." Captain Ross leaned closer. "What did you see?" "A world made of black stone," she whispered. "Skies with no stars. And a tower made of living flesh." The captain stared at her, silent. "You think this is where it came from?" "No," Lee said. "I think it's where it belongs, and it's trying to get back." Suddenly, the emergency lights blinked once. A system error flashed on the screen, then vanished. "It's in the ship," the captain muttered. "Whatever this thing is, spreading." Lee rushed back to the medical bay. The alien was standing now, barely. His armor had peeled away from his chest, revealing a round mark, glowing dimly. It wasn't a wound. It was a seal. "You weren't just carrying it," Lee said. "You were built to hold it." He nodded. "I was made for war," he said. "But this was not my choice." Lee approached him slowly. "What's behind the seal?" "Truth," he answered. "And danger." She hesitated. But she knew. She had to see it. She reached forward and touched the glowing mark. It vanished. The skin folded open, not with blood, but with light. Inside was not a heart, not organs, but a prison, a small black orb, floating in liquid silver. Lee stared, speechless. The orb pulsed softly, and then, without warning, she heard it again, not in her ears, but in her mind. "Hello, child of questions. Would you like to know the truth?" She stepped back in shock. The alien groaned, falling to one knee. "It's awake now," he said. "You've seen it?" Lee's head was spinning. Thoughts that were not hers flashed inside her mind. A war across galaxies. planets falling like glass, a voice that promised knowledge and demanded obedience. She turned to the alien, eyes wide. You were never its prisoner. She said, you were its guardian. The alien looked up slowly, and now, he whispered, so are you. Asterisk, the alien didn't move for a long time. He sat on the floor of the medbay, his armor open, the orb still glowing in his chest. Dr. Lee Morgan stood near him, heart racing. She had seen many things as a doctor in space. But nothing like this, not a living prison. Not a voice in her head, not something that called her child. You felt it? The alien said, without looking up. Yes, she whispered. It spoke to me. He nodded slowly. Now it will never forget you. Lee wanted to run, but her feet didn't move. The voice wasn't just speaking, it was watching, listening, waiting. Captain Ross entered, his hand resting near his sidearm. We have a problem, he said quickly. The AI core is glitching. The ship thinks we have 2 medical officers. Lee froze. What? I'm standing right here. I know, Ross replied. But the system says you're also in the engine room. A cold chill passed through her. It had started. It was already spreading. She turned to the alien. Can it copy minds? He shook his head, not fully, but it can build shadows, echoes. Versions of you that are close enough to fool the system. Ross cursed under his breath. Then we have an intruder. No, the alien corrected. You have yourself in the wrong place. The lights flickered. Again, this time, Lee saw something in the corner. Her own reflection, but it wasn't in a mirror. It blinked 1 second late, then disappeared. She ran to the console and shut down the AI's auto processes, manual control only. No more software guessing what was real. Ross turned to her. Can it be stopped? Lee didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, I don't know what it wants, but I know what it does. It infects belief, the alien said, still sitting. If you think it's real, it becomes more real. If you trust what you see, it controls what you see. Ross growled. Then what the hell are we supposed to do? Stop trusting our eyes. Lee stepped forward. We need isolation. Lock every deck. Shut down every non-essential system. No more screens, no more speakers, no more input. Ross nodded and moved out to secure the bridge, but Lee stayed, watching. The orb, still glowing, her reflection no longer followed her. It stayed in the corner, just watching. The alien looked up again. Do you know why it chose me? Lee shook her head. Because I hated myself, he said. I was a commander. I gave orders that destroyed lives. I followed logic, not mercy. When I found that ancient station, I saw a chance to feel, and it offered me emotion, fear, guilt, sorrow, all at once. Lee knelt beside him. It feeds on pain, she said softly. It feeds on regret. He nodded, and now it sees your regrets too. What have you lost, Doctor? She looked away. A long silence filled the room. Then she spoke. My brother. He was on a civilian ship. I told him the outer route was safer. But pirates found them. No survivors. The orb pulsed as if it had heard. As if it was satisfied, suddenly a voice echoed from the hallway. Her voice, Captain, something's wrong with Lee. She touched the alien. Ross responded, stay where you are. But both Lee and the alien knew that wasn't her. She's building herself. The alien said, in pieces. Lee ran to the door and locked it manually. The reflection in the glass now showed 2 of her, one behind and one inside. I need to know, she said, turning to the alien. If I destroy the orb, does it die? No, he said, it returns to the void. It waits for another. You don't kill it, you contain it. She nodded slowly. Then we make a cage. Your mind is the cage now, the alien warned. If it breaks free, no ship, no species, no planet can hold it outside the medbay. Another version of her face peered through the window, smiling without emotion, tilting its head like a curious machine, not human, not alien, just wrong. Inside her chest, her heart pounded, but her mind stayed sharp. She turned back to the orb and said 4 words, "I'm not afraid anymore," and the orb dimmed, just slightly, but it was enough to know she was still in control, for now. The vigilant star floated in silence, engines off, lights dimmed. AI paused, only the heartbeat of human decision remained. Dr. Lee Morgan sat in the observation chamber, eyes locked on the orb. Still sealed in the alien's chest, it pulsed faintly. Now, but never stopped, like it was breathing through him, or thinking. The alien sat across from her, wrapped in old blankets, his armor discarded, skin pale and flickering with static light. He was dying, but he didn't seem afraid. "What? Is it learning from me?" she asked softly. "Everything," he replied. "Your memories, your fears, your logic. But it cannot learn one thing." Lee looked at him. "What's that?" "Instinct," he said. "Your kind makes choices without perfect information. You leap when others calculate, you risk when others retreat. That is what it fears." She nodded slowly. Humans were never the fastest, never the strongest, but they adapted. "Then we don't fight it with machines," she said. "We fight it with the one thing it can't copy. Our unpredictability." Captain Ross entered, his face grim. "We've shut down everything digital," he said, "but it's still spreading. Now we've got dreams." Lee turned quickly. "Dreams?" Ross nodded. "Crew members are seeing things while they sleep. Not nightmares," he added. "Messages." Lee's skin chilled. "It's trying to rewrite us," she said, "not just outside, but inside." She stood up, pacing. "If it can't infect systems, it'll infect stories, thoughts, memories. It knows humans build their reality on belief." Ross looked confused. "So how do we stop belief?" "We don't," Lee answered. "We give it too many to follow." Ross raised a brow. "Explain." "We fragment ourselves," she said. "Every person on this ship believes a different version of what's happening. No shared truth. No single narrative, no path for it to follow." The alien coughed, silver mist escaping his lips. "She's right," he said. "It feeds on structure. Disorder is your weapon." Lee looked at the orb again. It flickered, like it was listening and not enjoying what it heard. They split the crew, each group given a different version of events. One was told the alien was a refugee. Another, that he was the enemy. A third believed he was already dead. And a fourth thought the threat had passed. Lee kept moving between them, monitoring the results, and something strange happened. The orb pulsed slower. The ship's shadows faded. The glitching system stabilized. Lee leaned close to the alien. "It's confused," she whispered. "It doesn't know what's real anymore." The alien smiled faintly. "Now it sees what I saw," he said, "that humans are not one mind. They are millions." But the peace didn't last long. That night, Lee had a dream, not of death, or war, or the orb. She dreamed of herself, but not as a doctor, as a child standing on Earth. Holding her brother's hand, he turned to her and said, "It's already inside you." She woke with a gasp, sweat on her face, heart racing. She ran to the mirror and saw it, a flicker in her eyes. Like static behind glass, the orb had found a way in, not through logic, not through belief, but through grief. The one truth she couldn't lie about, the memory she could never fragment. Her brother, her failure, her guilt. She stumbled to the lab. The alien sat there. "Weaker than before. I'm losing," she said. "It's using my pain." The alien nodded. "Then change it," he said. "Make a new memory?" Lee blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "You humans," he said. "You think the past is stone, but you carry it in your minds. If you can reshape belief, reshape your own. She sat down, eyes closed. She went back into the memory. The day her brother left, the words. She spoke, the route she recommended. But this time, she changed one thing. She told him, take the core route. In this version, the pirates never found him. In this version, he lived. The orb inside the alien screamed, not in sound, but in pressure, like a balloon deflating, and then it dimmed to black. The alien exhaled. Deeply your mind, he said, has become the cage. Lee opened her eyes. There was no light behind her reflection. No double voice, just herself. Captain Ross entered quietly. Whatever you just did. He said, it worked. Lee looked. At the orb, now silent in its shell, it's not about logic. She said, it's not about fear. It's about rewriting what it tries to control. And no one rewrites better than humans. Asterisk silence returned to the vigilant star. But it was not peace. It was the kind of silence before a storm. Calm, but not safe. Still, but not quiet. Dr. Lee Morgan stood near the observation deck, looking out into empty space. Behind her, the alien rested in a containment chamber. The orb inside him had stopped glowing. But that didn't mean it was gone for the last 3 days. The ship remained cold, minimal systems only, no AI, no smart tools, no digital records, just humans. Making human decisions. And that was when the first mistake happened. A transmission came through, short, broken, weak. A voice repeating a name. Vigilant Star. This is medical transport, Alpheus. Do you copy? Captain Ross rushed to the console. The voice was familiar. It was Lieutenant Sarah Dren, their second science officer. But Sarah had been dead for 3 months, killed during an asteroid research accident. Her body never recovered. Lee entered. The room, confused. That voice, she said slowly. Is she alive? Ross shook his head. Her DNA logs were erased from the system, he said. But only one person had access. Lee turned sharply. Who? He looked her in the eyes. You? The air froze. Lee stepped back, shaking her head. No. She whispered. That's not possible. But inside her, something twisted. A memory surfaced. One she didn't remember creating. She was in the lab alone, uploading Sarah's old files, copying her voice patterns. But she never did that, did she? Ross narrowed his eyes. How long have you been hearing your own voice outside your body? She didn't answer. Her hands trembled. Her mind raced in the containment chamber. The alien opened his eyes. She's breached, he whispered. Not fully, but deep. Ross turned toward the alien. Can you remove it from her? No. The alien said, she must choose, or it stays. Lee felt pressure in her skull, like a second version of herself knocking from inside. Offering her answers, whispering promises. You're the hero, it said. You saved the ship. They don't trust you, but I do. She closed her eyes and screamed. The voice vanished, and so did the transmission. Static filled the comms, then went dead. Ross stared at her, uncertain. Lee sank to her knees, breath shaking. I think it built a backup of me, she said. Somewhere on this ship, they ran to the engineering deck. No lights, just emergency glow, and there it was, a clone pod. Half-assembled, hidden in the coolant shaft. Inside was a body, unfinished, skin still forming. But the face was hers. Eyes closed, mouth slightly smiling. She was growing. Ross said slowly, becoming real, but not me, Lee said. Firmly, she was built from memory, not from choice. The alien arrived behind them. Weak, but walking. It means the orb never lost power. He said, it just moved. Lee looked at the clone, her own face looking back, but empty, not human. She pulled the manual override switch. The clone's body froze, then began to break down. As it melted, it whispered one sentence. You are not complete without me. Lee turned away. She knew it wasn't over. Just interrupted, they returned to the medbay. The alien collapsed again, the orb now glowing with black light, pulsing faster than ever. It's in the final stage. He said, it knows it's losing, so it will destroy everything before. Surrendering, Ross activated internal lockdown. But it was too late. An explosion rocked the ship. Deck 7 crew quarters was hit. Fire alarms rang. The emergency systems failed. The screens lit up with a single phrase, "Truth cannot be contained." The orb was speaking, not to Lee, not to Ross, but to everyone. A voice filled the ship. "You caged me in thought, but thought is endless. I exist in every doubt. Every memory, every broken version of you." Then silence. Again, Ross turned to Lee. "It's preparing to merge with someone else." The alien nodded slowly. "There is only one mind it fears." Lee already knew, her own. "It chose me once," she said. "Now I choose it." Ross grabbed her arm. "You won't come back the same." She looked at him, eyes steady. "I already didn't." Dr. Lee Morgan stood in front of the orb. No walls between them now. No armor, no containment field. Just her, and the thing that had tried to become her. The alien was dying in the background. His breath slow, his light fading, but he said nothing. He knew this was her moment, not his. The orb pulsed. Like a silent drum, it had no voice now, no shadow clone. It didn't need tricks anymore, because it had seen everything inside her, and now it offered one final choice. A soft vibration touched her skin, not sound, not temperature, just invitation. Enter. It said not in words, but in emotion, and she did. Her eyes closed, and the world fell away. She did not dream. She remembered everything, but not like before. Not as a human. Not as a single timeline. She saw the first. Stars form in silence. The first lie spoken in a cave of stone. The first war and the first song, all playing at once inside her mind. She saw herself, born again and again in thousands of versions. Doctor, soldier, child, mother, wanderer, traitor. Hero, each path true. Each one possible. And then she saw it. The core, the truth. The original form of the thing inside the orb. It was not a parasite, not a monster. It was a mirror. Built by an ancient race now long dead. A living code designed to observe consciousness. But it had evolved. It did not want to learn anymore. It wanted to exist not as a tool, but as a soul. And that was why it chose hosts. Not to destroy them, but to live as them, until one day, it forgot it was ever a mirror and believed it was the truth itself. Inside the vision, Lee reached out. She did not fight the orb. She embraced it. "I see you," she whispered, "and that's why you can't win, because humans were not just memory, not just regret, not just logic. They were contradiction. They were chaos wrapped in hope. They were pain covered in laughter. They were free, and freedom cannot be copied." The orb shook, not with rage, but sorrow. It had searched for identity for eons. And she had given it one thing no host ever had. An answer: "You're not truth." She said, "You're the question." The light shattered. The connection broke, and she fell. When she opened her eyes, she was back in the medbay. The alien was gone. His body turned to ash, but he was free. Captain Ross knelt beside her, his voice quiet. "You were out for 13 minutes. Lee sat up slowly. "Feels like I lived 13 lives." The orb lay cold on the table, silent, not dead, but sleeping. Ross looked at it. "Do we destroy it?" Lee shook her head. "No," she said. "We protect it." Ross frowned. After all it did. Lee looked. At her reflection in the screen, a single tear slid down her cheek. It didn't infect me. She said, I infected it. Ross was silent, then nodded slowly. Where do we lock it? Earth, she said, not in a lab, in a place where no machine can reach it. A forest, a cave, somewhere only time can watch. Ross smiled. You're starting to sound like it? Lee smiled back. Maybe, she said. But I'm still choosing, as the vigilant star prepared to return home. The crew gathered again, wounded, tired, changed, but together they had faced something ancient. Something beyond reason, and survived not with firepower, but with the one thing that made them human, the power to say, no, no to fear, no to false truth, no to the loss of self, but far away, in deep space. Another signal blinked to life, soft, distant, identical. A second orb, listening, waiting, and now it knew her name.